In poll season, there is no end to promises made, and we've often heard of free electricity, free laptop, even free phones. But this is a new set of poll promises being made, which is a promise to return to the old pension fund system. Why is that promise being made? Who is it for? Who is this vote bank? We're breaking down that big headline for you this evening. We're also telling you why this host of promises ahead of the Gujarat and Himachal elections made by Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress has economic experts so worried. But first, let's take a look at the top stories of the day. Kerala Congress unit joins the list of other states asking for Rahul's return as Congress chief as he camps in the state during his Bharat Jodo Yatra. Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot is also one of the contenders for the top job. He will be meeting with Sonia Gandhi tomorrow, but is also holding a crucial meeting in Rajasthan this evening. In poll-bound Gujarat, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal promises the return of the old pension scheme if voted to power. Congress also reiterates the promise. Crisis hit carrier SpiceJet gets into cost-cutting mode, sends several pilots on leave without pay for 3 months. That's 80 pilots on leave without pay for 3 months to rationalize costs. Amidst widespread outrage over molestation of a 19-year-old girl by a delivery boy, Zomato says the accused is not a delivery partner, but they will cooperate with authorities in the investigation. And Gujarati movie Chhelo Show is India's entry for the 2023 Oscars, has pipped RRR and Kashmir Files as India's official nomination. Even as the debate over political freebies continues, there is now a new weapon in the arsenal of political parties, wooing voters ahead of polls. A promise to the return of the old pension scheme. Now, you're probably wondering, what is the old pension scheme and why should anyone care enough to vote for parties who are promising to bring it back? Well, the states of Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan have already reverted to the policy. Jharkhand will soon follow. Punjab is mulling it as per the Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann. And both the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress are promising to bring it back in Gujarat and Himachal if voted to power. In fact, AAP convener and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal made that promise today.
कि आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार बनेगी तो गुजरात के अंदर हम ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम लागू करेंगे। कल ही पंजाब के सीएम ने ऐलान किया है कि उन्होंने पंजाब के अंदर ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम लागू करने की तैयारी करने के लिए ऑर्डर दे दिए हैं। तो जैसे पंजाब में अब लागू करने जा रहे हैं, वैसे ही हम लोग गुजरात में भी ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम लागू करेंगे। मेरी सभी सरकारी कर्मचारियों से निवेदन है, आप अपना संघर्ष जारी रखिए। अगर ये सरकार कर देती है तो ये सरकार कर दे, अगर नहीं करती है तो 2 महीने के बाद जब सरकार बदलेगी तो हम करेंगे।
What is the old pension scheme and what is the new version? So the old pension scheme was disbanded from 1st April 2004, and as per this version, a government employee was entitled to 50% of their last drawn salary as pension post-retirement. The pension was to be paid entirely by the state or central government, depending on who the employer was. But from 2004, the pension policy has moved to NPS, that's the National Pension Scheme. Under this, a government employee contributes 10% of their salary per month and the government gives 14% every month to a fund which is then invested. The return of these funds determines the amount of pension the retired employee gets. For years now, retired government employees have been protesting the change and demanding that they go back to the old scheme, because in the new scheme, they can withdraw just 60% on retirement and the remaining 40% gets invested back, so they get a fixed amount every year till the end of their life. So why was the old scheme discarded in 2004? Simply put, it was unaffordable. States had run up humongous amounts of debt, running into thousands of crore rupees to pay out these pensions, and they're still paying them off. For example, Punjab still has a pension debt of 14,000 crore rupees. The reason why protesters want to go back to the old system is that how much they finally get post-retirement is unclear under the NPS, the National Pension Scheme. It depends on how these funds perform. It's also dependent on the stock market, because some of these investments are in equity. But the bigger question here is, should pensions of Babus be protected at the cost of taxpayers? As per an SBR report, if all states go back to the old scheme, the debt will balloon to 13% of the GDP. It's a burden future generations will have to carry. So why are political parties then clamoring to bring back an old system? To speak more on this, I'm joined today by Vijay K Bandhu. He's the national president of the Movement for Old Pension Scheme. It's the organization which is at the forefront of these protests that we've seen over the last few days. Arshpreet Khadial, Congress spokesperson, is joining us today on the show. I'm speaking with Dr. Santosh Mehrotra, senior economist, and Tejas Mehta, political analyst. Vijay Sardana, economy and policy expert, also joining us on the show. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Bandhu, let me speak with you first and understand. Vijay Kumar Bandhu ke paas mein pehle jaati hu, to understand why exactly this protest for the old pension scheme. All right, I'll come to him in just a bit. Arshpreet Khadial, I've laid down very clearly why it was abandoned in 2004. And at that time, the government had abandoned it. A law was brought in to abandon this old pension scheme. It does not work. It's unaffordable. Why today is the Congress party bringing it back in 2 states and promising to bring it back in more?
Number one, what India was earning back in the day, today India is earning a lot more than that. The price of items has increased many fold. However, the pension that the people are making is still the same, is rather lower than what it used to be back in the day. So you see, it's need of the hour. People, have worked for the government, work for the welfare of the people, deserve a little bit, especially when the politicians are making so much. They draw a lot of salary, they draw a lot of pensions, then why should the common people be left behind? And number two, this would guarantee a fixed monthly income for them. Unlike the NPS, it wouldn't be more of an investment, because how much risk a particular individual can take is what the NPS depends upon. The more the risk, you might end up losing, you might end up making more. So there's a lot of risk factor involved there. And number two, it is tax deductible under the NPS scheme. And number three, with regards to the old pension scheme, you get 50% of your salary that you used to draw. And
Arshpreet, one sec. Arshpreet, can I just ask you one question? Who do you think is paying all this pension? Because you said if the politicians are making so much money, why not government employees? Who do you think is paying for it?
See, if you're basically trying to insinuate that there are too many tax burdens and all of that.
No, there's no insinuation. It's a simple, who is paying for it?
No, the states would have to pay for it. So what? The states
who gives the states the money? Where does the state get money from?
See, number one, if that is not clear to you, I don't think so we should even be having the debate in the first place. Because everybody knows where the states are.
So why don't you say then very clearly that we want taxpayers to pay higher pensions to retired government officials? Say it clearly then, no. Say it clearly. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm saying that say it clearly.
Let me say it. Give me the time to say it. So what you are insinuating is that the taxpayers should pay money for a lot of pension for the MLAs, MPs, ministers and all of that, but not for the people who are serving them. Is that what you're trying to insinuate? Shouldn't there
They
be
don't want to
parity?
pay. We
Shouldn't
don't
there
want
be
to pay for
quality?
anybody's pension.
Shouldn't there be
We don't want to
quality?
pay for anybody's
Now, number
pension.
two,
Why add
if it
one
is
more?
pragmatic or not, if it is
Why add
pragmatic
one
or
more?
not,
No, no.
if
So
I
you're
may,
saying. So you're
if you
saying
would allow me the
if
time, if you would allow me the time, see, it is not that it's not pragmatic. It is not that it cannot be pulled off. Many states have already done that. Rajasthan, it started from. Chhattisgarh then followed it. It's working successfully. And Jharkhand is to very soon have it. Aam Aadmi Party is trying to copy it from us. So therefore, you know, when we have started making more money.
I'm going to pull up, as per the latest CAG report, what is the debt of states who are paying the old pension scheme. And I'm sure you've seen the report which says that if every state now goes back. One sec. Arshpreet, so only you can speak, is it? I have let you speak. Can I put my point across? Whenever I speak, it's insinuation. 1 minute. Sorry, on my show, I will have to give viewers the facts, sir, and then I will come to you for your point of view. 1 minute. 1 minute. You said it's doable. 1 second. One sec. Mr. Khadial, no. I will come to you, but I have started on a point. Let me finish it because I'm showing the graphics as well. And then you can come with your rejoinder. This is as per the latest CAG data. Because you made a point, the Congress spokesperson made a point, it's doable. And that's the important point. Is it doable? Look at the debt which is being racked up as pension expenditure in the state of Punjab. It is nearly 15,000 crore rupees. In Jharkhand, it's over 7,000 crore rupees. This is as per the CAG State Finances Report of 2020-2021. In Himachal Pradesh, which is poll-bound, where this is being promised, it is already 6,000 crore rupees. Is it truly doable is the question. Let me bring in more voices. I'll come back to you, Mr. Khadial. Let me go across to Vijay Sardana. What is the concern over here, sir? The Congress spokesperson is saying, and clearly there is a demand for this. He's saying, look at the expenses that have gone up. Don't the government employees deserve some of the largesse of taxpayers? I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just saying it must be clear that the taxpayers pay for it. It's not coming from the heavens. We will be paying for it. That should be clear, no matter what your argument is. So what's the problem with it, Mr. Sardana?
See, the government has only two sources of income. One is taxes, and second, to meet their deficit, they take the loans. There is no other way government earns. What we have to also look at, in a very simplified terms, if we continue to burden with the pension funds, with the longevity, if I say that when lifespan is increasing, the burden will continue to increase. Outcome will be very simple. Government will stop recruiting new positions because then they have to calculate what is the total funds. So future of India, the youth of India will not get jobs. That is one thing. Because ultimately they have to manage their own funds within their own means. Second important aspect is, instead of demanding, if the opposition is saying that why MPs and MLAs are getting pensions, it is better you campaign that we should stop pension for them instead of creating another liability on the exchequer, which is unsustainable. Because in 2004, the government and Mr. Manmohan Singh, and at that time I think Mr. Chidambaram was the finance minister, they took a sensible and right decision. Are you saying the conditions and the situations which were prevailing in 2004 do not exist? That is one aspect. Second issue comes up is, let me add one more point. The issue is of inflation. The best way to hedge inflation is invest in markets, not in fixed deposits. That is the common sense of financial literacy. So problem in this country is that financial literacy is very poor, and that is why we are able to mislead the citizens of India in the name of free doles, etc.
One sec. Let's come to the first point. One sec. Arshpreet. No. Let's come to the point number one. This was disbanded in 2004 after a lot of thought by a government led by the Congress party. This same system has been disbanded by several countries around the world because it is just no longer affordable as people live longer, okay? the age, the lifespan has increased, they need pensions for longer, and governments are drowning under debt. Which is why I'm asking you once again, is this really a good idea?
Now, if you may kindly allow me the time to speak. First of all, please check the GDP of India in 2004 and check the GDP of India in the present year. You'll see a massive difference. And then check the inflation rate as to what the items costed, dal costed, paneer costed, milk costed. Of course, you'll also have to consider the little amounts of GST that the BJP government has also implemented on essential commodities, and you'll see there's a massive difference. What we used to earn in 2004 was $709.15 billion, and today it is basically more than 3.535 trillion. This is a massive increase. So why do we not pass on the benefits to the people of India? Back in the day, the circumstances were different. Whatever the circumstances solicited, we did. But in today's era, the circumstances, they solicit help for people because everything has gotten a lot more costlier, and NPS isn't cutting off, and because it is tax deductible. And number two, people who are, this NPS scheme is essentially meant for people at 25. Because they start basically investing back in the day, and the people who are in 40s and 50s, they are put to a disadvantage. So there are many benefits of the old pension scheme. We have had it for
can I come in?
time. Why not?
Yeah. No. Can I come in on 2 points? 2 points. Maybe your intent is correct, but I'll tell you why it's not cutting it as an argument. And I mean it in the nicest possible way. The first point I'll pick up is when you're saying correctly that NPS works for those who start earlier at 25. In 2004, when the National Pension Scheme was gotten in, it was gotten in with a cutoff. If you recall, and if you go back and see, the rule then was that whoever was an existing government employee will continue to enjoy the old pension scheme. The National Pension Scheme and the new formula was brought in for new employees of the government from 1st April 2004. At that time, they were in the right age to enter the NPS. So on that account, your argument, unfortunately, doesn't make any sense. The second part of your argument is that look at the inflation. Absolutely right. And we should give more. But why only to government employees? And why should the exchequer give more to government employees? Why should they get special treatment which nobody else gets? That's the question I want to ask. And if I may get Dr. Santosh Mehrotra to come in on these 2 points. Dr. Mehrotra, I understand the pain.
If I may, you just asked me 2 questions. You just asked me 2 questions. And
no, I just countered 2 points that you made. But I will come back to you.
Would I not be allowed to rebut?
All right. I just want to get Dr. Mehrotra in quickly, if you don't mind. I want to get him in quickly, and then I'll come back to you. Yes, Dr. Mehrotra.
I'm going to speak only if Mr. Khadial lets me speak. So I just want to establish that, first of all. Let's just establish some basic facts here. You have put some of the facts there. You see, those who were employed before 2004 in the government, and they are still alive and they've retired, so they will continue with the old pension scheme. Those who joined after 2004 will obviously have to be on the NPS. You're not going to suddenly, if you go back to the old pension scheme, those who have joined post 2004 can't be given the old pension scheme, right? So who is this going to apply for? The promises that are being made by the political parties would apply, I take it, only to those who are new recruits from this point onwards. They're going to retire some 30 years, 35 years from now. If this is not what is meant by going back to the old pension scheme, I mean, someone should clarify what is the meaning of going back to the old pension scheme. That means these are political promises which don't have fiscal implications way down the road, 30, 35 years down the road. This is the first thing I wanted to clarify. The second thing I wanted to clarify for the benefit of your audience is that 91% of the workforce of 500 million in this country have no pensions. They have zero pensions. Only 9% of people who are in the government or in the formal private sector, they have any pensions in the first place. So there are 4.2 million government employees, but I'm saying that the vast majority of them who had joined pre-2004, they're going to be on the old pension scheme in any case. Those who joined after 2004, they're going to be on the NPS in any case. So I'm assuming that the promises that are being made by political parties now would apply only to new recruits.
Right.
So all of the arguments that have been floated so far by various people, somehow they're not carrying much weight. The last point I will make about this whole business is 89% of the entire government staff consist of Group C and D. Only 11% of total government staff, state, central, banks, or the public sector undertakings, only 11% are Groups A and B. So the vast majority of the pensions that are being paid out under the old pension scheme are going to people in Group C and D, which is why your data was rightly showing that the public sector undertakings, government in general, has been reducing the number of Group C and D people who are going to be recruited. So, you know, these are all facts that have to be kept in mind. And there is not, even if you were to go back to the OPS, the old pension scheme, you're not suddenly going to get a massive cost implication on the government's budget today. Let me stop there.
Right. You know, I want to understand why the clamor for it. Yes, political parties are coming in with these promises because the demand is being made. I'm joined now by, one minute, sir. I'm being joined now by Vijay K Bandhu, who's the national president of the National Movement for Old Pension Scheme, which is steering this entire demand. Bandhu ji, आपको आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
जी आवाज आ रही है
जी, आप थोड़ा पीछे रहिए, हम आपको सुन पा रहे हैं, आप थोड़ा पीछे रहिए फ्रेम में। जी बिल्कुल परफेक्ट, ऐसे ही रहिए। ये बताइए कि आप क्यों ये मांग कर रहे हैं कि हम वापस ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम की तरफ चले जाएं, जब ये साफ है कि राज्य इसका बोझ नहीं उठा पाएंगे, वो पूरी तरह कर्ज के तले दबे हुए हैं और इसको अफोर्ड ही नहीं कर सकते हैं। तो इसका कारण क्या है कि आप चाह रहे हैं कि ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम में हम लौटें?
सबसे पहली बात तो जो राज्य सरकारें वित्तीय घाटे में हैं, केंद्र सरकार वित्तीय घाटे में, उसका कारण पुरानी पेंशन नहीं है। पुरानी पेंशन उसके कारण नहीं है। अगर पुरानी पेंशन उसके कारण है तो जब 2004 में इसको बंद किया गया था तो जो पैसा बचा, देश का पैसा बचा, वो पैसा गया कहाँ? क्या पैसा बचने से कहीं उसको लगाया गया? ये एकदम झूठी बातें हैं कि सरकारी कर्मचारियों को पेंशन देने से समस्या आती है। ये बिल्कुल गलत बात है। और मैं आपसे कहना चाहता हूँ, जब देश गरीब था, राशन नहीं मिल रहा था, खाने को नहीं था, तब सरकारी कर्मचारियों को पेंशन दी जा रही थी। और आज हम दुनिया की बड़ी महाशक्ति बताते हैं अपने को। जब हम महाशक्ति बन रहे हैं तो पुरानी पेंशन हम क्यों नहीं दे पा रहे हैं? हम ये कोई नई मांग नहीं कर रहे हैं। ये संवैधानिक हक है। भीमराव अम्बेडकर साहब संविधान में लिख के रहे हैं कर्मचारियों के लिए पेंशन की व्यवस्था। ये आर्थिक जो बात बताई जा रही है, और एक सवाल मैं और पैदा करता हूं, अगर आर्थिक समस्या है, इसी कोरोना के दौर में कई हजार लाख करोड़ का नया संसद भवन बन रहा है, उस पर आर्थिक समस्या नहीं है। उसी दौर में प्रधानमंत्री ने 1600 करोड़ का अपने लिए चार्टर प्लेन लाते हैं तो समस्या नहीं है। उसी देश में
अच्छा नहीं, बंधु जी एक मिनट, एक मिनट, एक सवाल मैं पूछ लूं आपसे। आप की बात अगर मैं सही मान लूं कि अगर फला ढिकाना सब चीज के लिए पैसे है तो हमें पेंशन देने के लिए क्यों नहीं है, चलिए एक आपका तर्क हो सकता है कि आप उस पे सब ABCD पे खर्चा कर सकते हैं, हम पर क्यों नहीं। ऐसी खास पेंशन जिसकी गारंटी सरकार देती हो, जो आपके लास्ट ड्रॉन सैलरी का 50% हो, ये खास पेंशन सिर्फ सरकारी कर्मचारियों के एक तबके को क्यों मिलना चाहिए और उसकी पेमेंट आपके जो टैक्स पेयर है उनको क्यों देना चाहिए? क्योंकि इस देश में ज्यादातर लोगों के पास कोई पेंशन वेंशन है नहीं, उनके पास नौकरी ही नहीं है, फिक्स नौकरी नहीं है, तो इन सरकारी कर्मचारियों की पेंशन जिंदगी भर की, जीवन भर की, उसका बोझ टैक्स पेयर को क्यों उठाना चाहिए?
जी, बहुत अच्छा सवाल, मैं इसका जवाब दूंगा। मैं भी टैक्स पेयर हूँ, जो सरकारी कर्मचारी वो भी टैक्स पेयर है, हमारा ही पैसा है, हम ही टैक्स देते हैं, हम टैक्स से बाहर नहीं हैं, पहली बात। दूसरी बात, मैं रोजगार सरकार नहीं दे पा रही, सरकार की फिलौरी है, उसको मुझसे क्यों जोड़ा रहा है? मैं तो कहता रोजगार दीजिए, क्यों सरकार नहीं दे रही? आज लाखों पद खाली पड़े हुए हैं, सरकार की जिम्मेदारी है, चिकित्सा, स्वास्थ्य, सामाजिक सुरक्षा, ये सरकार की जिम्मेदारी है। वेलफेयर स्टेट है और वेलफेयर स्टेट को बिजनेस स्टेट बनाया जा रहा है, ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। आप हमें इस बात के लिए करें कि आप रोजगार लोग नहीं पाए, तो ये कर्मचारियों की जिम्मेदारी है कि सरकार की, जो प्रधानमंत्री और मुख्यमंत्री की जिम्मेदारी है?
मैं ये नहीं कह रही हूँ आपकी जिम्मेदारी है, मैं कह रही हूँ कि सिर्फ आपके लिए खास ट्रीटमेंट क्यों? सिर्फ सरकारी कर्मचारियों को लाइफ लॉन्ग गारंटीड पेंशन जो आपको इन्वेस्ट करके ना मिले, ऐसा क्यों होना चाहिए? क्योंकि एनपीएस में भी ऐसा नहीं कि पेंशन नहीं मिल रहा है आपको, एनपीएस में भी पेंशन मिल रहा है ना।
अब आप दूसरे सवाल का अगर आपको पहले जवाब दे दो, आप सरकार तो गारंटी ले नहीं पा रही है एनपीएस में पैसा कितना मिलेगा, आप गारंटी कैसे ले सकती हैं? क्या आपने अध्ययन किया है एनपीएस में 1200, 700, 800 रुपए पेंशन मिलती है, ये पेंशन होती है? इसको पेंशन आप बता रही हैं? पहली बात, एनपीएस व्यवस्था पेंशन है ही नहीं है, आप उसको थोड़ा सा अध्ययन करिएगा। 1,18,000 रुपए का प्रिंसिपल बनारस प्रधानमंत्री के क्षेत्र से रिटायर होता है, 44 रुपए उसको पेंशन मिलती है। तो ये तर्क आप नहीं दे सकती कि एनपीएस सरकार नहीं दे पा रही है, जो कंपनी पैसा लगा रही वो नहीं दे। हम तो कहते हैं अगर सरकार की जिम्मेदारी है, कंपनी की जिम्मेदारी, हमें दे दे 50% कि 50% हम करेंगे, नहीं दे पा रहे हैं। हमारा पैसा हम सरकार को दे रहे, सरकार उसकी जिम्मेदारी ले, हमको कंपनियों के हवाले क्यों कर रहे हैं? एक बात और,
डॉक्टर मेहरोत्रा, आई वांट यू टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू व्हाट मिस्टर बंधु इज सेइंग। एक मिनट, हमारे पैनल पर अर्थशास्त्री जो बैठे हैं, मैं चाहती हूँ कि वो आपके सवाल का जवाब दें, क्योंकि अब तक हम ये सारी जो चर्चा है हम राजनीतिक तौर से कर रहे थे कि ये पार्टी। एक मिनट जी बंधु जी, हम आ रहे हैं आपके पास, जो आपने अभी तक मुद्दे उठाए हैं वो पॉइंट बाय पॉइंट जाते हैं। Dr. Mehrotra, I want you to respond to some of the things he said, and I was keen to include him in the conversation because otherwise we're looking at it as an abstract issue and this political party is promising and what about the exchequer and fiscal debt. He is saying that retired employees are getting a few hundred rupees in pension, he claims, under the new scheme, and they want a guarantee because it's their hard-earned money. What would be the response to that?
मैं हिंदी बस बताता हूं। देखिए, 3 बातें हैं, 3 कारण हैं जिन वजहों से सरकारी मुलाजिम जो है वो ये ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम दोबारा चाहती हैं। पहला कारण ये है कि ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम में मुलाजिम स्वयं कुछ पैसा नहीं देता था, कुछ भी पैसा कंट्रीब्यूट नहीं करता था, केवल सरकार पैसा कंट्रीब्यूट करती थी 10%। न्यू पेंशन जो नेशनल पेंशन स्कीम है 2004 के बाद जो लागू हुई, उसमें 10% मुलाजिम, सरकारी मुलाजिम जो है वो कंट्रीब्यूट करता है और 14% सरकार के कंट्रीब्यूट करती है। तो यानी दोनों जने कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, जिसका असर ये हुआ कि जो रोजगार मिलता है महीने में, उसका 10% पहली बार कट जाता है, जो ओल्ड पेंशन में नहीं कट रहा था। तो एक कारण तो इनका ये है। दूसरा कारण ये है कि ओल्ड पेंशन में डियरनेस अलाउंस जैसी चीज थी, यानी कि इन्फ्लेशन का एडजस्टमेंट होता था। तो अगर जिस रफ्तार से इन्फ्लेशन होता है उस रफ्तार से पेंशन में भी बढ़ोतरी होती थी। नेशनल पेंशन स्कीम में क्योंकि कोई पेंशन नाम की चीज नहीं है, उस पे मैं आता हूँ। उसमें पेंशन नाम की चीज नहीं, उस पर मैं आता हूं 1 मिनट में, और उसमें एडजस्टमेंट नहीं होता। तीसरी बात यह है कि ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम में अगर मुलाजिम रिटायर होने के बाद उसकी मृत्यु हो जाती है तो फैमिली पेंशन एक मिलती थी। अब इस नेशनल पेंशन स्कीम में, एनपीएस में ये प्रावधान है कि जो कुछ भी सरकार ने और आपने कंट्रीब्यूट करके पेंशन फंड में डाला है वो फैमिली को मिल जाएगी। तो ये अंतर है पुरानी स्कीम और नई स्कीम के बीच में। और इन सज्जन की बात इस बात में इस तरीके से सही है कि एनपीएस में पेंशन नहीं मिलती। एनपीएस में होता यह है कि अधिकतर लोग 60% अपना जो अक्यूमुलेटेड फंड होता है सरकारी और अपना कंट्रीब्यूट किया हुआ, उसका 60% ले लेते हैं और जब रिटायर होते हैं, और बकाया 40% का पैसा उनको माहवार मिलता रहता है। तो ये अंतर है इनकी।
No, that's fine. No, well, that's fine. Tejas Mehta, my point is, what is the response to this gentleman's question? Forget about Congress and AAP making these promises for political gains and voter base and fiscal health of states, etc. What is the response to Mr. Bandhu's question that why should I not get my hard-earned money after serving the government for so many years, which is guaranteed? If that money goes via NPS and is then invested by the PFRDA, as we know, where is the guarantee? What will be the response? What will be your response to that?
Well, he is going to get 60% of that amount, once he retires. The other 40%, as your first speaker said very clearly, you don't, you invest not in fixed deposits, you invest in the markets. That is where the maximum growth is. He is going to get. Look at the markets, how they have grown. And that, as that financial education has to be given to, all these, bureaucrats and of course, the government employees, because they feel that, once you get that money, bank mein hoge, tabhi, it will grow really well. They want to see that money, but they don't realize that your money is still growing. So I think, the problem really is about politics here. This is not really about just, the problems that these employees are facing. This is because elections are coming, because, for the last 2004 to 2022, was there never any inflation in this country? Let's take 2010 to 12. It was record inflation in the UPA government from 10% to 12%. Why didn't the UPA then go back to the old pension scheme? Because they knew that was the retrograde move. It should not be done. So this is about politics, and I think, like exactly as your first speaker said, lack of financial education. Because if you told people which are the best instruments to invest your money where it will grow maximum, then these arguments would really be
Mr. Khadial, is it a political move at a time when perhaps people are not understanding fully that the NPS may be the best bet for them? Beyond a point, it may be the best bet for them. And what would be your response to the point that Tejas makes, that it was the Congress-led UPA which disbanded it? You could have brought it back at a later date if you needed to. Do you think there is any real rationale for fiscal prudence behind this, or is this purely a political ploy?
In an uninterrupted minute, I'll answer all your questions. So, see, number one, I'll start with a rebuttal. When I spoke before, I was told that when nobody else is getting these benefits, why should these people get pension benefits? Well, that's wrong. There are BVIPs, there are MLAs, there are ministers. Who do you think is paying for their houses? Who's paying for their electricity? Who's paying for their cars? Who's paying for their gas? Who's paying for their tolls? Who's paying for their life, their luxury? It is the people who's paying that. And number two, have you forgotten that just in Delhi, the capital of India, back in the day, 400% salaries of the MPs was raised. And just recently in July, the Delhi Assembly passed for a raise of salary by 66%. So why do we have to cut these people out who have been serving their life for their life. And number two, the government can waive off 60,000 crores of a Vijay Mallya, but they have a problem in extending benefits to the common people, to the people who are serving, and from like 9 to 5, they work throughout their life. What's the problem in passing on, a little chunk of for their hard work? And number two, the people say, NPS is a great scheme, and why did Congress party, like somebody questioned? Number one, I have already answered this question that the circumstances were different back in the day. There wasn't this much of inflation. We weren't earning this much.
Inflation was as high in 2010-12. Why didn't you go back to this?
1 minute, Tejas, let him finish. 1 minute, Tejas, let him finish. Let him finish, and then you respond. Let him finish.
So two things. We are earning a lot more. We weren't earning a lot more then, and there wasn't this much of inflation. It is now, and if NPS had accumulated a lot of money, there were too many benefits that were there because of the NPS. Then why do we have to have GST on dal? Why do we have to have GST on, these essential things?
But there's no connection now, Arshpreet. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you because there's no connection. Now you're saying if NPS is doing well, why GST on dal? There is just no connection. No, but it's you can't just take two things and put them in one sentence. It has to make some fiscal sense. Okay, 1 minute. Tejas, please respond to the point that it was a different time. 2004 was a different point. Was a different time, and according to Arshdeep, there was no inflation in 2004.
Comparatively, I've given you the figures already. I've told you how much.
Yes, Tejas.
Come on, what are you saying? Let's look at the figures. 2000, and I'm sure my economist friends would remember more, but from 2010 to 12 was a very high inflation in India. It had been from 2008 onwards, after the Southeast Asian financial crisis happened. In all countries, as we are seeing now, and because of external factors, as we are seeing now, that we saw inflation rise. So that was perhaps you should have thought that let's go back to NPS. There was no GST then, but there was other taxes on the other food items. So I think this is not about Tamanna, very clearly not about just about these problems about what this the national movement for old pension scheme persons are saying. This is about elections in Gujarat and Himachal, because both.
No, I want to understand, but our government employees, 1 minute, are government employees such a significant vote bank? I want to understand that as well. Tejas, because I was just looking at the NPS subscription numbers between central and state. There are about approximately 80 lakh subscribers, countrywide, nationwide. Are they such a substantial voter base?
This is just the first of the few freebies we have heard. You try and collect as many vote banks as possible by giving these freebies. I mean, this is nothing short of a freebie, and Supreme Court is looking at this. They should take it up because they'll announce something.
It's another freebie, Arshpreet. It's another freebie, says Tejas.
See, there's a difference between, if I am a lawyer myself, I'd request the gentleman to kindly go through the obiter dicta of the Honorable Supreme Court, and he will figure out what the Honorable Supreme Court has said. Supreme Court hasn't restrained any political party from making any promises. However, there's a difference between a freebie and a welfare-oriented policy. You know what a freebie is? When in Punjab, Aam Aadmi Party says we'll give 1,000 to every woman above 18 years, that is a freebie. This is not a freebie. This is giving benefits to the people for their hard work. And all we are saying is, I was quoted an example by Tamanna herself. She said, other countries have also done away with this policy. Of course, Tamanna, but a country like Canada is giving $1,500 to $2,000 to the old people, who haven't even worked for the government. And not just that, there's healthcare, great healthcare, there's great education that they're giving. So why can't we move on for the betterment of the people? Why can't we make sure that
Actually, you think it's better to give retired government employees who've held stable jobs more pensions rather than give all women, and especially from backward socio-economic classes, a guaranteed amount of 1,000 rupees a month?
Do women not work in government sectors?
I know you're a lawyer, but there has to be some logic, no, Arshdeep? I'm
There
saying
is logic.
you conflated.
There is logic.
You conflated.
Women
Excuse
work
me.
in government
You
sectors.
conflated. 1 minute. You conflated saying that Aam Aadmi Party promising 1,000 rupees to women above the age of 18 is a freebie, but this is not a freebie. They want to give every freebie.
Yes.
That's a different story. But I'm saying that women don't deserve 1,000 rupees,
They
but
do.
retired government
They very
babus
much
deserve
do.
more pension
Women
than they're
work
already
in
getting.
government sector. Women work
But
in
that's
government
not the
sector. They
point.
also get
This is
pensions.
about all
It
women.
should give the benefit.
It's not. It's about
you
all
out of all
women.
should support them. Many women are
No one's
in
giving me a
government sector.
pension.
Are you telling that there
No
are
one's
women
giving
in
me a
government sector?
pension. I
Are you
have to
telling
invest
you're
my
not in the
own
government
money if I
sector?
want a pension. No one's guaranteeing it for me.
Tamanna,
Why should a
you
government
out of all
employee have a
people should
different
help.
treatment?
See,
Vijay Sardana,
number
please
one,
respond to this.
you
Why
should
should taxpayers
be
who have to
pro
invest their
this
own money and
policy.
think
You
about their
should be
retirement
pro old
in a
pension
country which
scheme
has no
because women
safety
also
net,
work in government
in a
sector.
country which
Are
has
you
no
saying
safety
there are
net
no
in
women
health
in
and
government
education,
sector? There
why
are no
should
women in
government
Let me-
employees get special
Is that what you're
treatment? Yes,
saying?
Mr. Sardana.
Let me also correct few facts. The freebie application, I'm also practicing lawyer in Supreme Court. The freebie case which is going on, I'm an intervener in that. So Harshdeep, whatever you are saying, it has no logic. Please read the details.
Of course,
Number
of
two.
course. Now,
Please
I
keep
think
it,
if you may just point it
I know
out
more than you.
leveling
I have read every line of the argument.
wrong.
I'm a petitioner. I have read more than you, so please keep it to yours.
So please tell us.
Now
So please tell us.
coming back.
Let
All right, one by one. One by one.
Don't make
Gentlemen,
it
one by one.
don't make
Let's
it a
not do
political
this.
argument.
Let's not do this.
Go to
I'm
the
better,
facts.
you're better.
Okay.
It's not the point.
Keep
You are all
it to
esteemed
yourself.
invitees to
Don't
this
argue.
panel because we want to
Don't
know your
argue.
views.
Congress
Let's not get into
spokesperson
I
should
know
keep
more
quiet.
and you know more. That's unseemly. No, no,
Now
Mr. Sardana, please.
let me also
No,
tell you. Let me
now-
also
now
tell you that
speak
people are
and
talking
as
about.
people listen, one minute, sir. 1 minute, sir. Let me just set the tone before you start and let's cool down a bit. This is not about I know more than you. Everyone's been invited for their views. There is no contest and there's no prize at the end of this.
No,
The
that's
only
what I'm
prize
saying.
is if you say something that people understand. So with that yes, Mr. Sardana.
That's what I'm saying, that freebies case, I'm the petitioner, I know what is going on. Now here issue comes up is on what is the pension issue here. Somebody mentioned that Canada is giving this much, world is giving this much. In Canada, what is the personal income tax? 54%. All Scandinavian countries, those who give social security, they have the highest personal tax rate in the world. Are we willing to do that? First question. Number two, the return on FD today is almost 5.2 to 6.2%. The return, even if I go with the index fund, in last 20 years, it is 14.18%. Now, what I'm trying to say is that it is nothing but a sheer financial illiteracy which is leading to this crisis. And my humble request to Government of India is, please, not only government employees, even private employees, they also need financial literacy. Why I'm saying this, if you look into all the employees in the country, including private sector, only 2% people have a retirement plan. 98% employees, including private sector, they don't understand finances. Whatever salary they get, they waste it. They don't plan for future. And this is the problem, that because private sector employee, when I get salary, I know how to plan for my future. The same thing should be taught to the government officers and employees, that whatever earning they are getting in the form of a salary, they should learn how to plan for the future and retirement. So this is not a politics. This is a problem of financial illiteracy in this country, and we are not doing enough. Whether you give whatever money, if people have a tendency not to plan, they will always be in a crisis in old age. We have to understand this. And politicians are encashing this ignorance by saying that because old pension was good, new is bad. In fact, new is far better. And I, as an individual, let me tell you, I don't give a damn to government pension. I put everything in market, but in a planned manner. Because returns are
Mr.
far
Sardana,
better,
just one
far
counterpoint.
sensible.
One counterpoint. I know Arshdeep wants to come in, but just one counterpoint and one difference that we have to talk about very, very clearly that government employees also need to be told what their options are. People go into a government job with the knowledge and security that they will be taken care of by the government of the day. That is why they go into government jobs. If you're not going to make them as attractive, then are you going to have a crisis there? That is one of the issues that we have to look at. You know, we can go on and on, but I've already overshot the amount of time for this discussion. I will have to wrap it here. Very quickly, Arshpreet, but just 10 seconds, please.
Just 10 seconds. See, the gentleman who said I'm a petitioner to the Supreme Court case that is about freebies, he just said that I know a lot more, but couldn't tell us what the Supreme Court has said about freebies. One thing, has the Supreme Court said this could not be
I don't want to segue.
Please go to Balaji's case.
Arshpreet, I don't have the time to segue.
Read what Balaji's case is all about.
We'll discuss freebies another day.
Case of
We will discuss the freebies another day. Both of y'all can speak to each other separately after this show and decide who knows more. But I have to take a break. On the other side, we talk about the big political